Well, in that case, um, the optimal strategy is to invest only in characters that I will use. But Daggett says I get an XP bonus if I have less than 6 characters. Ah. Hmm. Damn, so maybe I should just cancel this. Or maybe I... Nah, screw it. Um, um, um. If that's how it actually works, where the XP can be wasted on that character that I'm not sure I want.
How do you do?
I might as well just recruit them later, and then I will recruit them already on a higher level, without having to invest experience into them. Um, um. And then what kind of... Um, 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 um. Oh, now I have to... Okay. Grain, cheese, milk... Here... Let's grab the L. It's pretty cheap for a pretty nice boost. Look. Plus the max endurance. Escape. That's just food. Click. It's pretty expensive, isn't it? But it could save my life. I don't know what else I would spend my money on. So maybe I want to go into the smithy before I invest into anything big. And then yeah, it doesn't seem like... Wait, what? What do you mean +1 perception, +1 mechanics? Do I get that bonus until the next rest, or... It surely can't be permanent. Until I rest again. So in a campfire, it's all gone. I just need to do a campfire and it's all gone. Huh. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of a gilded veil's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Number 1. Until my next tavern rest. Yeah, that's actually huge. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face has shriveled inward like molten, oh god, fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger. Oh god, I can't handle it! In your mind until she is mere inches from your face. God! Now, number 1. Suddenly her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air she speaks a word. Watcher. Oh my god, indie gamer. Number 1. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman, you remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. You called her an animancer. Number 1. I'm having plenty of fun with this game here, Indy. It's Pillars of Eternity, and I'm playing on the Path of the Damned, highest difficulty level. A really good story so far. I'm really enjoying it. Though it fills you with new, queasy apprehension. You feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Number one. Home. Home. Well, let's see what the dwarf has cooked up for me. Looking. Looking. Home. Looking. Home. Hey, Selena. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past call out to you. You see a woman emptying her satchel onto her bed, taking stock of her inventory. Potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered throughout her room haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack one item after the other, careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands. Each item has a clearly marked place. No matter how she repacks it, she isn't satisfied. The shaking worsens as she empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke out from her eyes as she gives up all her semblance of order and shoves everything she can into the satchel, grabbing it and running out of the bare house. Straightening her back, she walks to the dog's chin high, eyes hard and red. A gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wonders the doc's offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen, anyone heading out on high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her childhood disappear in the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. Number one. A backer story, you say? Oh. Number one. You see a group of young men standing around a makeshift practice target. This man stands in the middle of them, explaining the construction and the use of bow. He holds it up, pointing out each part as he speaks about it and what it does. Then he walks away from the target, telling them to remain where they are, and takes his place about 200 feet away. He carefully lines up his shot, explaining what he is doing as he does, and lets the arrow fly. It hits the target dead center, much to the surprise and delight of the boys near it. He smiles, walking towards the boys, talking about proper stance and how most effectively hold a bow. A noise comes from the tree line near the practice venue and he stops, scanning the woods, blue eyes squinting against the sun. A shadow moves, making its way through the forest behind them. He draws an arrow and lines up the shot, carefully tracking the motion of a hidden creature. Losing the arrow, he wastes no time and quickly grabs another. The boys spin, watching the arrows fly into the forest, immediately lost among the trees. There is a sudden and explosive movement in the undergrowth as a deer erupts from the tree line, running across the edge of the clearing. The boys laugh, turning to joke with the man about his lousy shot. They stop talking, seeing him holding the bow and leading the deer with a knocked arrow. They drop to the ground as he loosens his last arrow, which flies true and strikes the deer right behind its shoulders, piercing heart and lungs and dropping it dead almost immediately. The boys stare at the deer for a few seconds and then slowly turn to look at the man, newfound respect in their eyes. He smiles again and breathes a quiet sigh of relief. For one. Home. So a backer wrote the story. It was one of the reward tiers that you actually can. Home. Space. Backspace. Space. Space. Backspace. Home. Looking. Oh god, 3 more. I can't handle this much story. My voice would just die. Looking. Home. I'll take them one at a time. Home. Lock-picked. A rapier. Home. hard to say which weapons are actually better. Maybe there are no better or worse weapons. It's just a matter of type and preference, too. Totally overwhelmed with story in the gamer, no shit. I'd read them all if it was off stream, but let's keep it moving. Click. I mean, look at this. There's books too. No other land has such a wild and bloody recent history. From colony to Palatinate to Free Republic, the Dirwood has undergone a trial by fire to emerge as powerful force of the Eastern Reach. Dirwood's history actually begins in Adir in 2002 II. Adir explorers returned from a journey across the ocean with tales of treasure they'd found. They discovered countless ruins scattered through the forest, as well as plains in the north of the trees that would be perfect for growing Vorlis. There was a problem, however. The locals were hostile, and there was potential for conflict. The Furkening of Adir, Fairconing, first king, knew that this was too good of an opportunity to pass up, and sent more explorers to scout and map the area. Explorations continued over the next 20 years. Small groups of explorers traveled back and forth between Adir and this new world, with a handful of colonists setting up small camps to establish a base for explorers to work out of. Conflicts with the locals, who the Adirans learned are called the Glenfaddens, were rare but frequent enough for the Fairconing... How is it? For the Fairconing to send a small squadron of guards to help protect his citizens. These guards established a central base on a river in the western section of the woods. This settlement would eventually become the city of Dirford, upon which the modern-day village of the same name is presently built. Once that base was established, the first permanent Adiran settlements, especially... Where was I? Began north and west of Bale River. Over the next 3 years, thousands of Adirans made the trek from Adir to this new land. The Glenfaddens, who seemed to revere the ruins scattered through the forest, caused a few problems with some of the settlements, especially those found near the ruins themselves. They were easily taken care of by the colonists with the help of the Imperial Guard. The Adirans, in order to further their foothold in the area, reduced the cost of production, and in an attempt to keep the Glenfadden population under control, started making slaves out of any Glenfaddens captured during the uprisings. This resulted in a great increase in tension between the two groups. With the population of the area growing, an official governmental structure was established by the Fairconing. He appointed several earls to preside over the land and assigned them thanes to help run their territories, and they called the new Grefram the Dirwood. The Dirford remained the center for the Imperial Guard, but the settlement in Pearlwood Gulf, New Dunrid, was the true seat of power for the area. Sitting at the edge of the ocean, forest, fertile farmland, and the river that runs from the coast to the White Marsh, settlers flocked to the area, hoping to establish names for themselves. Adir began to spread across the new land. I've read like 5 NPCs before stopping too much of them. Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do too. My vocal cords actually begin to hurt again. God damn it. I've been resting so long to get them fixed. And then I play a story-driven RPG. Um. Um. How do I click on that shit?
I shall be discreet.
Crammed behind the books is a drawing that shows Eothas and Lord Raedric in a compromising position. Ah, interesting. Hard to access as well. Gives it a feeling that it's actually a secret. I could, Sharian, I could. But the voting did decide. These bones are covered in tiny bite marks. Home. Home. Is that the exit? NPC stores aren't by backers. Messages on tombstones are. Other people do. It's a higher tier backers. It's a really nice idea to not only get money from people, but just let them help you develop the game. Add content. It's pretty cool. Mike. Home. Escape. Home. Let's grab some of the throat candy in hopes of preserving my vocal cords. Temple of Aethys. Explored and I got another level up. Let's get level 3 as athletics. And 4 mechanics. And I got a level 2. Click. Looks good. Home. What is paralyzed? Just completely disabled. Damn, that's good. And AoE as well. My god. 3-meter radius. That's not bad. Oh, but the nearby ones are stuck. Which means can't move. And have lower defense, but that basically means it would be best to cast before they close the distance to me. So this is jumps between 5 targets. With some decent damage. Makes enemies flanked in an AoE, a pretty big AoE. A shield. Minus 10 resolve, plus 10 deflection. Look, that's barely even positive. I lose one type of defense and I gain another type of defense. Unless... no, it's not a type of defense. That means it basically just makes mages really bad. Sharian says Mindblade is extremely OP, since this is an unpatched version. I gotta get that patch. They reduced the damage quite a bit now. Best spell ever, Mental Binding. Yeah, it seems pretty cool. Paralyzing the target. Causes the target to relive the psychic trauma of an injury. 30% of all damage reapplied. Over 18 seconds. Home. Oh, I choose 2. I'll get the binding in the blades then. But I do need to look around for that patch. I don't know why I don't have it yet. Maybe there's some kind of automatic updates turned off. No new talents. I guess that's why I got 2 spells, but those are pretty cool. Opponent loses 10 resolve, you gain the deflection. Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, I haven't found any bugs yet, Envy. But yeah, I thought this was a better version of the game than it actually is. I might have actually... I may want to take care of that before I stream this next. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bow that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the robe that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it. And you feel somewhat that you could reach out and touch it. Not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that you have no worldly... that has no worldly dimension. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on the objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman, and when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in the misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the robe creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
I think I survived the bivouac. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing.
I somehow doubt it. Space.
Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Call them. Those days are all behind me, no?
Strong souls, you say? You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die, and pick up pieces of others when we are born again. But less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Ah, thank you. I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are, visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times.
Space.
Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either living or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how.
Space.
A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
So I'm just talking to her soul. Number 3. When it goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
Yeah. Could you please not appear in my dreams, if you don't mind? That was way creepy. She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks. Ugh.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
Kednua then. Kednua it is. Am I imagining this? I'll just ask. Whatever.
I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy even, to not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I, wherever here may be.
Number 5. Number 5. How'd you end up on the tree?
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
You're not gonna... Number 2. What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Don't tell me. Some things are better left unknown. Come. Switch to game. Alright, you can tell me now. Number 1.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do.
Damn.
And this is where I've ended up.
Number 3. What's an
A
animancer?
student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us, the best, inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid.
I want to be an animancer. That sounds great. Space.
It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I loved the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
And I guess Deerwood is way more desperate. Number 5. Farewell, Caldara. Pleasure to meet you.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldara closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over her noose. And your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. I'm a watcher. His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that's interesting. He gives you a sly grin. And I expect this has something to do with the hooded figures in the ruins, hmm? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about the Watchers? Only that they're rare and they seem to have a unique insight into certain soul conditions. Because, as you just demonstrated. Let's continue on. Soul conditions, you say? What about your soul condition with the double personality thing? Space. And can I please get a warrior? The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair, leaning against the mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. Meaty hand, yeah, that's a warrior. Get in. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar
17
smirk.
and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
What are you talking about?
People hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Well, you asshole! You wanted to count the dwarf woman as half of them! Space. Aloth frowns. Is that what your people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
That's true. That much is true. What are you
The
talking
people hanging
about?
from the tree. 18 of them. The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
Damn straight you should. She's the one that helped me the most. What makes you think I was interested in a dwarf woman?
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers.
I'm a
Same thing in the
cipher!
eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be.
Space.
Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No
Son
offense.
of a bitch. You think you're going to be
Town's had it
hanged?
in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
Damn. Number 3. What does
Pick
the
the
town
wrong
have against
god.
you?
That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea.
Please.
Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back.
Damn, that's rough shit.
After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me.
Oh man, that was not the right thing to say. Ah.
Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
You can see why I was eager to leave. Yeah, no shit. Well, if you're the next to be hanged, why are you hanging around the tree? If you don't mind the pun. Drinking mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. I just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out here that don't think Widewind's legacy started with Widewind. We could travel together. Where are you headed? A place called Cade Noir. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath.
Faith.
A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before.
Faith.
Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
Faith. Alright, I'll ask him, Sharian. That sounds fun. There's a fine line if I ever heard one.
Alright then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as
Number
you're
one.
not the one.
Saints War. Only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Aethys. Overthrows Reed Ceres. Marches on Derwood. So we gave him a Derwooden hello. What's a Derwooden hello?
We blew him up.
We blew him. He smiles at this, but it is the smile of one recounting a joke for effect rather than enjoyment. Who is Aethys? God of rebirth and redemption. Formerly, anyhow. Maybe they call him something different than where you're from. Ah, that's good going, buddy. Mouse.
Hope you're not expecting much.
Now, if I set him as a leader, does he do anything other than just be in front? Like, does he actually lead the conversations with his conversational skills? That shouldn't be the case, since they don't... Charlie. I don't think they have any... No, they do. They do have Lord Athletics. Oh. Would he be the one leading conversations and having his skills applied to them? Escape. And I had a mage level up. I'm always the one talking. Sounds great. Mouse. So I guess he's gonna lead the way soon. So this guy's got plenty of lore. Don't need more lore. I'm gonna teach him some athletics here. Wait, I actually got 5 left. 2. And then I get 2 level 2 spells. Which ones do you guys think are good? Because there's a lot of them. There is a lot of them. Holy shit. Visual distractions. AoE confuse. Every 6 seconds he does a random check. Could attack an ally. Pretty small AoE. Very small AoE. I'm not sure. The blind is good. Do you mean the bind? I like the blind and then I got the gaze. What is the blind? Curse of Blackened Sight? Yeah, blind for 26 seconds! Damn, son, yeah, that is incredible. So then accuracy reduced by 25. Perception reduced by 4, movement reduced by 2, reflex and deflection reduced by 20. So it's not the worst thing ever, but they're not gonna have a good time, let's just say. Athletics 3 seems like a must on everyone. That's 90% combat fatigue reduction. Oh damn, yeah, that is really important then. And the necrotic lands lots of single target damage and corrosion over time. I do lack single target damage. I'll take it. I'll read the others later. But these two do seem pretty damn good, single target. I got plenty of AoE by now.
Well?
Fox 3. Fox 3. Foxtrot 3. Interesting. I don't have the voice commands. Fox 4. Fox 5. Yeah, I'm lacking some of the F commands. Oh, and then this is the quick save, so never mind. Alright, I believe this is time to vote again. And if you consider voting for something else now, I will come back to Pillars of Eternity tomorrow once I figure out how to properly patch the game. There must have been something wrong with the process. I'm gonna be back in about 15 minutes. I need to stretch, I need to eat, and then I need to play whatever you choose. So choose something fun. Feel free to choose Pillars of Eternity again. It's just that I will play the patched version tomorrow. Most likely it's going to be better, but I don't know. So far I haven't seen a single bug, so maybe it's fine anyway in the early game. And the game-breaking bugs will be later. See you in 15. In the meantime, you can also check out youtube.com/joyfulrogue and enjoy the content there.